Hi, I've just had these boxes delivered through the door. This is the new ATV EXS-5. Didn't know much about these drums when I ordered them. A couple of YouTube clips and that's it. They seem to be good, just natural drum sounds. So we're going to do an unboxing and first play. So these are replacing my just HD Roland kit. Hopefully it will fit into the same space. It'll be interesting to see how much extra space these take up with a rack. So these drums came from Drum Shop UK. This is Newcastle drums. Used them before for my per reference kit. So it looks like the rack must be in the smaller. The two boxes. So 14-inch cymbal. That's one of the troubles here. I've been used to very small cymbals on the Roland. Small toms, small snare, hi-hat. This is going to be full hi-hat stand. Another 14-inch cymbal. And trying to fit in a 16-inch ride cymbal. It's going to be interesting. Snare tom pad. Number two. Oh, it's 13-inch by the looks of things. Two of those. And then we've got two 10s. So that must be the snare and the floor tom for the 13s. Two 10s for the rack toms. See what's an accessories box later. There's a sound module, which, as I say, is very simple. Apparently it's only got kind of 5 drum settings. You can download more from the website, but to be honest, even on this Roland, which has kind of 10 sounds really, 5 with variations, I only really use 2 when you're playing to tracks. The rest of them are really kind of just kind of fads really. You know, fun sounds if you're kids, but not great if you want to be actually playing with musicians. So 14-inch hi-hat. Then that's the kick pad. 13-inch again. Yeah, I've really gone out on a limb buying this one. I've actually not played it at all. Not seen it in any shops. So literally from 2 YouTube videos I've ordered it. They said it was akin to the pads being as good as the TD30. TD30 came up for sale second hand recently. It was almost the price that it was on new when I was first looking at them over 10 years ago. It's almost £3,000 well used. So this kit with a decent discount is well under half that figure. So I think for brand new good pads, apparently they're 3-zone pads. I think this is probably going to last longer, and with the download on the modules, I haven't looked on the ATV site yet, but apparently you can pick and download full kits. I'm sure probably 5's all I actually need, and I may even start using this live instead of the pro reference. Right, so second box. This looks like it's the whole rack, and tom and cymbal arms, which is going to be my first thing to set up in the corner. Just opening the manual. It looks like together in here there's a SD card, so it'd be interesting if there's any further kits on that one. I'll definitely get some decent scissors if you're going to get one of these. These are so tight. I've actually managed to snap the scissors. Yeah, this is well put in. Alright, now attacking it with some kitchen scissors. Eventually through. Right. Tom stand, or cymbal stand. 3-piece rack. 2 sides and front. That's presumably the snare stand. Oh, 10 out of 10 for packing, that's for certain. Oh, these cymbal stands are here actually, so those must be Tom's for the rack, feet for the cymbals to Tom, and more cable ties. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Right, down to the last rack leg. Hopefully that's it. So 3 cymbal arms, another 2 clamps. Hopefully that's it. Yeah. I've got a listing of what was in there. I've just put them separately just in case those 2 tom arms are different to those. I don't think they are, but they look the same. Probably worth noting actually that, or saying well done to ATV for packaging. Most of it is cardboard recyclable, even the little tabs are cardboard, so just the cable ties are plastic, so there's a decent amount of stuff that can be recycled here. There's not a lot of plastic, a little bit wrapping on the rack and etc, but that's it. So well done ATV on that side. They marked everything out pretty well. You've got a list here of what letters go with what. Everything's kind of neatly marked. D, A, C, etc. I think it's fairly clear on here. Right, looks like the snare needs to be put through the upright to start with. It's worth noting that I've got a sound absorbent bass here from Sound Sorbo in High Wycombe. Hopefully it will do a fairly good job of absorbing some of that bass drum sound and the foot pedal. Yeah, so that's on. I see there's a there's no tools actually needed at all so far. It's all just finger tight connections. There is a memory lock here which can go up. One of the problems I've had on the TD11, which I use at church, is the snare section just keeps on dropping. It almost held it with gaffer tape now, because probably I hit it fairly hard, but it's you know, if it's kind of moving all the time, it's a pain in the neck. So this looks to be pretty sturdy. Right, that's the rack on. Only thing just to note on these, make sure that snare drum stand bit goes on first, then the side rack, and then the end rack just goes on over the top. Same the other side, and then you've got a slightly different post length here, so just make sure the short post is going on the right side. Also the arm, which looks similar to this side, obviously got one for the crash cymbal, ride cymbal, crash cymbal, and floor tom. 2 for the toms and hi-hat and crash. So that's the rack up. It was fairly simple, all fairly easily adjustable and tight, easy to tighten. Shouldn't be too bad. I've just got to put the bits and pieces on. Let's have a look at this kick pad. I've gone for the kick pad instead of the bass drum, mainly for noise inside. The bass drum would look great for live show, but I think for home practice I tend to have the band in here practicing at home. I think this will be fine all rounder. These are the two legs to keep the tom from moving forwards. It's a decent size, similar to some of the TD 30, TD 20. I think the image on the back, that's okay. It's not massive, but it's not going to look too tiddly and out of place in a live setup. I think these are all double ply on the meshes. That's certainly a flipping heavy bass drum, I must admit. That ain't going anywhere compared to the TD11 bass drum, which moves around all over the shop when you play. It's an absolute pain in the neck. This is going to look like something pretty substantial, and I think once we've got the legs on the side, that's not going to go anywhere. Like in the Pearl reference drum kit, you've got in many other bass drums, you've got the choice of either the pointed top or the rubber bass. So you've got the adjustment here. One thing I would like in every kit is just a drum key, so you can adjust these without faffing around trying to find, getting your drum key out of wherever you left it. And nicely on the Roland, there's always a little one just attached. Don't know if they've put one in the accessory box, but it would be nice ATV if there isn't one. If not, I'll use the Roland. Alright, so this mainly looks like cables. That's a snake. Oh, they have put a key in, well done. And the power adapter. Oh, well done then for thinking about that. It's only a few pence, but it just makes all the difference without faffing around trying to find one. These simple stands, that's well made, or tom stand actually, this one. Nice and heavy. They all seem to be the same, so those 4 tom stands, they're universal. The tom arms on, went on fairly easily. No doubt I'll need some adjustment after I get the toms on. Oh, that's the cymbal arms on. The ride may have to go a lot lower. I just need to see how much space I've got, because that's a decent, if I remember, that's a 14 or 16 inch ride cymbal. One of the nice things I think I've got on here, I'm pretty particular the way I want my cymbals angles, and if they've just got notches, sometimes you either too high or too low. This one's got no notches at all. All the others are notched, but this one you can position wherever you like, so on all of those. So that's yeah, they're good and strong. You've got cable places for the cables to go. Be interesting to see how neatly the snake cable snake tucks away. It looked a bit untidy on the review I was looking at, but we'll see. The tom pads, these are the 10 inch, which I think is absolutely fine for small toms in front of you. Let's be honest, you know, my pro reference is first tom's 10. You get used to that. I know you can easily have 2 12s, but it just gets bulky. I'm fine with 2 10s as the main toms. One surprising thing with these, I think, is the sheer weight of them. I'm used to the TD11 pads, and they're light as a feather. These things are only the 10 inches, and they've got some serious weight to them. That one was a bit more tricky to get on, but on it is. I think one of the issues is I had the snare stand in the way, pointing upwards. That's going to be have to be a fair bit lower to get the snare in there. Shame that doesn't come out a little bit longer. We'll see how we get on. Right, the both say XD13M snare tom pads, so looks like there's nothing special for the snare. And the floor tom, they're both the same pad. One thing I did notice though is the ability on the snare to have the click on the edge, which on this one I've been able to have a click assigned to that pad. So if I'm doing a click on the verse and then onto the snare in the chorus, I'm kind of losing a tom. But on this, it's all nicely assigned to the same drum on the edge for the click, and obviously the main snare. That is a beautiful large mesh head. That reminds me of the TD30, I think, when I tested that, and that's just fantastic for 13-inch snare drum. It's just like a little piccolo or kind of funk snare. I've got a 13x7 normal snare drum for the reference kit, so it's not going to make any difference to me. I've got a 14 reference snare as well, but 13's perfect on floor as well. Just a tip for putting them on. I find that there's very little room here to slot it on, and you're probably dangerous scratching the side. So if you just keep everything loose, put it on side with an angle here, and then just once you've got it there, get it straight and do it up from there. Alright, so that's one kit with toms in place, cymbal stands in place, racks done, bass drum done. Looks really good with the 13-inch floor and snare. Also got to get the module in, hi-hat in. Actually, that must be for the module presumably, because the hi-hat's going to sit on a normal hi-hat stand. But it's good to see it actually fits in a similar kind of space to the, I mean, it's obviously wider than the HD1 Roland, but it's not ginormous amounts. I think the hi-hat stand's going to be the one thing that's going to take up most of the room. But I suppose you could always get a rack hi-hat if needed. We now have some highly paid extra help doing the opening of the 14-inch hi-hats. Like that.
I can do that.
So it looks like it's got a separate power supply.
I'm taking out the AC adapter.
That's a massive box for a small, just that.
That's just that. Massive box for nothing.
Well done.
So if you see the person in the back gets this, complain and say, put less packaging for the AC adapter.
So, the hi-hats actually come with the clutch there. So I've just taken up mine. You clearly don't need that one. It's all included, which is surprising, but nice. Okay, so we'll now take the hi-hats out and put them on. Bottom one first.
Okay. The bottom one on first.
Bottom one on first.
Oh, obviously. So which one does this go
on there? Excellent. So it's got a separate power adapter. Presumably area for the cable to go in on the top. And the thicker top one, the bottom one pretty much just plastic. And that fits nicely there. Just lift it up a bit if you tighten that.
this way?
Yeah, perfect. Keep going.
Make sure you turn it right, not left. Left undoes it, else you'll never ever be able to do it.
Perfect, that's fine. Great.
There's a bit more.
You push the pedal. Great. Good, good. So I've just moved the floor tom across to the middle. I don't think a 16-inch ride cymbal and the 14-inch crash is never gonna. I had the two stands next to each other on the crash and the ride, so it wasn't going to fit. So I'll pop that there and see if that can work. Now going to open the 16-inch ride cymbal. Well done.
That had very poor sellotape, as I described it, because I could just like rip it off really easy. Wait.
Well done.
Now you wind your catch thingy down. Don't really know the scientific thingy. What is the name for it?
Okay. Do you want to hold that, Andrew, and point it towards me? Alright, one ride. I don't think we can get it that low because of the tom, and also I can't get this stand going back too far. Unless I can get that bit angled a bit. That's probably about as best as I can get it. Okay, hit the bell and outside. Okay, one down. Two more cymbals to go.
Should I press the top?
No, you can skip video. The 14-inch.
Again, really poor sellotape.
It's quite helpful to get in there though. Nice and easy.
We didn't really
Well done.
need to use this plastic.
That's true, but the nice thing is it does say the plastic is recyclable, which is very rare for plastic bags to be recycled. So that's again great for one ATV. Ah, good question. Probably here, because I think both cymbals are the same size, both 14-inch. So do it. Oh, can you get it on?
I can get
Well done, straight on.
that's quicker than the other one.
So apart from the ATV logo there, they're just flat. They're not like the Roland ones where you've just got rubber here and then plastic around the outside which clacks, and then rubber. These are rubber all the way around.
When you let it go, if you look at it like this, it kind of looks a bit like a UFO.
Just one more to go. Just
And
gonna see if I can fit it in over
the
there. Okay, last one to do. I've got massive old Premier hi-hat stand. I think what would be better here was probably one with the classic flat legs, flat hi-hats. So I'll probably get one of those to fit in there.
Now this one will obviously go on the one that's left. Make sure it's on the one closest
Well done.
to you standing over here.
Perfect.
You can know it's on this one because it's not slanting.
So the only thing that we're missing now is just the module, and then it's ready. I've just got an interim bass drum pedal at the moment, which is double bass. I won't be using double bass, but the wooden beater, I must admit, is not as quiet as I'd hope. I know they're supposed to be better with mesh heads, but as we're in a flat, I'm looking for kind of quietness as well. It's probably a little bit louder maybe than the HD1. The nice thing about the HD1 is it made no noise at all really with the bass drum pedal and the hi-hat pedal, so playing and problems with neighbours was no issue at all. With this one it's going to be hopefully okay, but I'll have to see what kind of sound is being made. That's one thing I couldn't pick up from the reviews, is how much dB level you get from just playing it without coming through speakers, because I'll play headphones. But certainly that pad there, the rubber pads are loud. Actually that's hi-hat is blinking loud, and that could be frustrating for people, but I'll see what comments I get. Okay, so last bit is the module.
Sounds module for the
The last bit to put on the rack anyway. The only other
XD3 to 7, no, to S7 to 5. Now that is where you get all of the electronic sounds.
So I haven't set up the cabling yet. So it's such a teeny rack with so it's a teeny module. But as I said before, to be honest, you know, once you've got one or two sounds, I must admit, I tend to just stick to them. So I can't see the point of having 150 different sounds. And if you want to download something different, you can do.
Like,
on the back,
like our old one just had
you've got the multi-trigger in, Crash 2, audio in, USB, SD card, and left and right output, and a MIDI out. Whether there's a audio in separate volume knob, I'm not sure. I can't see anything obvious, but we'll have a look later. So apart from the cabling, that's the finished article. Nice to have the extra symbol, I think. I'm always missing either a splasher or a china or something when I'm playing a kit, and like on the Roland where you've only got the one crash. I think on this one at least you've got some different bits and pieces. You know, you have your main crash and another 18-inch crash or china. Yeah, looks good setup. Right, one bit about the plug. It actually comes with lots of different adapters for the different countries. I've got the UK one on here. But one thing to notice, it does look like it's that way round. I've just been trying to put it on the right way round, but it seems like you've got to totally invert it to get it on. It was just a bit confusing for a minute, so just worth noting. It'll save you some time. The other end of that plugs in at the bottom of the hi-hat. It's actually quite difficult to spot if you're a little bit in the dark. So it's got a separate power. Now, underneath the hi-hat top, you've then got cup and edge jack outputs. Right, I've just put the cable snake on. I was worried in some of the reviews I saw that quite a few kind of cables were showing and seemed to be loose. Tis the case that, I mean, it's not quite as neat as it could be. You've got cables which attach to the snake here, and a cable tied in. It's tighter than I would like. I'd prefer it to come straight up the stand, but it's coming across. It's a little bit more unsightly. You have got some cable attachments here. You've got this little device. I must admit, it is flipping hard to get the cable into that without worrying about damaging the cable. So literally it is just a push in, but it's tight. But that will, at least you need to have at least a decent amount of room here, so you're not going to damage the cable and it's not too tight. So that's the cable snake on. One little note from this snake, is it's worth just laying it out, and although everything's really neatly marked with control and everything else, and symbol 1 and tom 1, it's very neatly done, but the control for the bottom of the hi-hat seemed to be over the middle of the snake, and the top hi-hat is the left hand side of the snake here, so I've had to kind of root back this control one, so it's worth just working it out on the floor before you actually putting it on the kit. Also, the other thing is the crash I've got over there on the far side, which is part of the kit, the far right crash, that actually isn't included on the snake. That is actually that's the extra crash 2 there, which is a shame, which it means that I haven't got any other options of expanding the further crashes. Probably wouldn't need it, but I haven't got any more expansion. But it's not neatly done within the cable. It's a completely separate jack that they provide, and that's stereo jack. They've provided it, but it just looks a little bit messy, and you need to kind of go back through tying it on. They do give you some cable, some just easy stick-on cable ties to put on that are just kind of Velcro. So I haven't actually even turned the module on yet. I've just stuck the SD card in, which apparently has got some songs inbuilt on it. I haven't been on the ATV website yet to download any extra kits. I'll see what these ones sound like first, and see if there's any ones that I'm happy with. I suspect I'll stick to kind of 1 or 2 kits. I don't kind of tend to play around too much. Once I've got one I like, I tend to stick with it. The bell of the ride had a jack cover over it, which you've got to pull fairly hard to get off. Why that's the only jack with a cover on it, I'm not quite sure, but just so you know, it is supposed to come off. So I haven't turned the module on yet. Let's get this on. Apparently you've got to hold it down for a bit. I'm not powered up. Try power on. So you've got to have 2 power outputs, one for the hi-hat, one for the module. Right, so now on modern rock. I think we've got 5 settings, I understand. Get 2, world pop, haven't even seen these. Super metal, which I doubt I'll use a great deal. So at least I can put another one, download another kit over super metal. Swing, not sure if I'll use that, so I may download a kind of funk kit. And heavy rock, well, heavy rock and super metal is probably going to be very similar, so at least I can download some different sounds. You've got songs which you can save. Some of them are in the SD card on WAV file. You can also record yourself playing, which I think is useful if you're teaching. So I'll see what these sound like.